Hold on, let me see. I think. Is Representative Mako with us yet? Oh, there he is. Thank you, Representative Mako. Well, I think we can get started right here. First of all, thank you so much, each one of you, to join us here in such short notice. We had planned this for a couple of weeks ago, but a lot of stuff going down in Madison prevented our legislators from being able to attend, and they really wanted to attend this, and I appreciate their presence here tonight. The subject of this conversation today is going to be about, in particular, an assembly bill that has just been put out that would allow DACA recipients to receive professional licenses through DSPS. We are very fortunate to have the authors of the bill right here, Representative John Mako from the Green Bay area and Representative Sylvia Ortiz from the Milwaukee area, and it's a bipartisan bill. But before I go into anything,
all over the United States, so they were very prepared. The kids were very.
Oh, somebody needs to mute. First of all, I really want to thank Amanda from Wisdom, because without her, I would not be able to do this. I am a technology dummy still, and I think I'll remain that way. But she has helped put this together. And the intro I want to do on this is, we're going to be talking about this bill in particular. We're not going to drift over other subjects. We can talk about them at a different time, but this is very important that we talk about this bill. So again, I introduce my partner on this one, Amanda from Wisdom, and I would like to introduce Representative Mako, again, from the Green Bay area. He is the author of the bill, along with the co-author, Representative Sylvia Ortiz. Also, I want to thank, I have my very own representative, Representative Pat Snyder is here with us, and I don't want to miss anybody else that we have here. And if I miss you, please forgive me, but it's not intentional. So, what are we going to be talking about? There's a severe labor shortage, not just in the United States, but all over this, in Wisconsin also. In Wisconsin, we have about 200,000 jobs available, and only about 77,000 people to fill those jobs. So these bills are really not. They are definitely not an immigration bill. It's a bill to help workforce in Wisconsin, and our representatives will talk a little bit more about that. The pandemic hurt us really badly. We lost a lot of teachers in the schools, and there's no safety net for these schools to fill those gaps right now. It also exacerbated shortages with health workers, people in the trades, and we need to recruit more people to do these jobs. So there's an opportunity right now for the state legislature to expand access to thousands of jobs by simply revising some outdated policies, laws that forbid immigrants from getting authorization to getting professional licenses. Barring these immigrants from, in particular the DACAs, we're going to be talking about specifically, from doing this, it wastes states' resources because we've educated here and everything. To start with also, I want to, and we'll discuss this later, DACA recipients are individuals that are in a very particular category. They came to the United States because their parents brought them. They themselves did not violate the law. They were children when they came here. They had to be under the age of 31 by 2012 when they applied for it. They had to be under the age of 16 when they came to the U.S. They have to have lived continuously in the United States from June of 2007 through June of 2012. They have to every 2 years, renew their status and have a background check. They have to stay in school. They have to. They cannot avail themselves of federal or state benefits. So it's a group of people that have really, from the time that they were able to get the status, prove themselves over and over. And in essence, they are your neighbor, the student next to you, the people working and everything. So we need a special consideration for them. Again, this is not an immigration bill, it's workforce. But perhaps there's something like this, we see the value of these individuals and the need to keep them in our communities. So with that, I am going to go to the beginning. Again, we have Representative Mako and Representative Ortiz, and we have a couple of questions for them, so you guys have an insight of what the bill is about and where we're going with. Amanda?
Thank you, Tony. And thank you, representatives, for joining us today on such short notice. The first question we have for you is, can you please discuss the workforce challenges that Wisconsin is experiencing? Representative Ortiz, if you want to start off for us.
Thank you. And I just wanted to start by saying from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank Representative Mako for having the smarts and the heart to propose these pragmatic changes. And when it comes to the challenges our state is facing, boy, are we facing a lot of challenges in every single industry you can imagine. We are facing at least 45,000 workforce people that we're short in the workforce right now as we speak. So we have needs for electricians, nurses, teachers, dentists. The governor just signed a whole package of bills for dentists just recently. I think it was 2 days ago. So we're facing challenges in all kinds of fields all throughout our state when it comes to the workforce. We just can't find enough people to do the work, and that prevents people from, for example, when it comes to housing. When you think about housing, one of the big challenges is we have a supply problem, but we can't tackle those supply problems without being able to build, and we can't do that without people who are electricians and who are plumbers and who have those skilled trades and occupational licensing in our state that, quite frankly, we're short in all the fields. But that's just one example of what's stopping and hurting our state when we can't, in nursing as another field, another huge field, medical field. We all know we have shortages in all our medical fields, and especially nursing. And right now there are people in our state that we've invested in, that we've sent to high school, to middle school, to grade school, and other states are realizing the benefits of the investments we've made because they can't get licensed right now in our state to become nurses to take care of us. So those are some of the challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Mako, is there anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, I think what we're dealing with is just some macroeconomics, period, and that's where I came from. So I'd like everybody to think that I'm a wonderful humanitarian, and I guess, those that know me realize that I am. But that's not the purpose of this bill. This is out of selfishness, and you've got 72 million of us baby boomers, and I see there's some of you on this call already. There's 72 million of us baby boomers that were born between 1945 and 1965. We've been retiring at the rate of 10,000 per day, every day. And within a very few years, less than 10 years, 25% of the population in the state of Wisconsin will be 85 years old. And so we've got this, that's one problem. And like my colleague said, we also are having an inflow problem. The net migration into Wisconsin is barely keeping up with death and migration out. And so for us to continue to expand our workforce, you have to do a couple of different things. You have to increase productivity. In other words, you have to have the same amount of people doing more work. And more productivity, or you need more people. And so I sat down. Now, our family is an employer of about 500 people throughout the state of Wisconsin through various companies that we started 45, 50 years ago. My wife is in the process now of starting another company. We've hired about 15 people in the last 3 months, and it is hard. And I said to Tony, and Tony, I just want to thank you as well as Representative Ortiz and my colleague, Mr. Schneider, for all the support that you guys have given us. This is not typically a Republican bill, but it really ought to be because this is nothing. This is all about jobs. It's all about creating community and career residents of the state of Wisconsin. And as an employer, I looked around and I'm thinking to myself, let me first back up, Tony, if you don't mind, and you can cut me off because both Sylvia and I don't have a problem talking. This whole thing came to my light about 3 years ago. The chief of police in the city of Green Bay called me up and he said, John, can you come and talk to me? I got this young kid that I've worked all the way up the chain here, and now I want to make him a police officer and I can't. I said, sure, chief, I'll be right over. Well, that led to the 4 bills that we have in play here. Tony's talking about one right now, but there's actually 4. There's what we call our police parity bill, this particular piece, which is the licensing bill, the in-state tuition bill, and then the tax credit bill. So I'll just go over those real quick if you don't mind, Tony. That's where the genesis of this idea came from. So I went down, met with the chief. I found this wonderful young man who was brought into the United States when he was an infant. His mom and dad are both undocumented. He and his sister are DACA recipients, and his 2 siblings are U.S. citizens because they were born here. I mean, talk about a mess. And when he told me, when I started looking into it, DACA recipients are allowed to be DNR agents and carry a gun. They're allowed to be corrections officers and carry a gun. They're allowed to be state troopers and carry a gun, but they're not allowed to be local police officers. And keep in mind, this was back during the BLM days, and everybody's crying and saying, gee whiz, we have to allow our police force to hire folks that look like the people that they're policing. So our chief is going, we would love to do that. Let us be able to do that. And so Sylvia and I looked into it, and what we found out was that those 4 different law enforcement agencies are all governed under 4 different statutes. Big surprise, right? How could government have one single statute driving all that? That would be entirely too smart. So no, we have 4 different departments, 4 different statutes governing 4 different things. So all we did was say all of these agencies are the language in the bill, the language in the statutes would all be the same, which would allow local enforcements to hire from the same pool as the state troopers. That's still in the process. We're working on that. But that's when I started saying, well, wait a minute. What other things don't we allow these DACA residents to do? And that's how this thing started. Now, just as a quick side note, that young man, as soon as we did that press conference, who do you suppose called him the very next day? The state troopers. And they go, hey, we don't have any problem hiring you. We would love to hire you. They literally hired him on the spot. He went through the training program down in Madison. He worked down there for about a year, and I'm grateful that he is now up here in Brown County in Green Bay as a police officer, sadly for the state troopers, not the city of Green Bay, but hey, you know what? It's a victory, so we're happy with that. So that led to finding the other 2 pieces, which said, wait a minute, we have these folks here. They are fully vetted by the NSA every 2 years. They have to pay $500 for the privilege of doing it. They have driver's license, social security numbers. They work their butts off. They can have no felonies. And yet even if they've lived here for 20 years, they have to pay out-of-state tuition. So we want to keep them dumb. What sense did that make? So we came up with the bill that said, hey, if you've been here for a year, just like every other person in the United States, if you're a resident of the state of Wisconsin for a year, you get to qualify for in-state tuition, just like everybody else. Not giving them a freebie. There's no free handouts here. They still do not qualify for, they still don't, help me out, Sylvia, they still don't qualify for
Pell Grants or any federal money.
Right. They don't qualify for Pell Grants, any kind of, any of that type of thing.
Student loans.
Go ahead. Social Security.
Federal student loans.
Right. Right. So they don't qualify for any of that. We're not asking for anything for free. We're just saying, let us pay the price that everybody else is paying. And here's the dumb part. If you want to, again, how crazy Madison is if you are a resident of the state of Minnesota and a DACA recipient, then because of our reciprocity agreement, then you can have in-state tuition. It's the dumbest thing. I didn't even make that up. That's true. So then that led us to the next piece, which was licensing. They go, well, Tony and some of his colleagues said, John, do you realize that we have people that are graduating from nursing school here in the state of Wisconsin, and as Sylvia said, they went through grade school here, high school here, now they're going to college here, they're graduating as nurses, and they can't sit for the exam. They have to go out of state, sit for the exam, and work in a different state. That is nonsense. Then I looked into it even further, go, what else does that apply to? Plumbers, electricians. So I happened to be at the local 400, and I said, did you realize you can't hire this pool of people? And they said, that's outrageous. So we have all of labor. Again, you've got Republicans who are business owners saying, I would hire those guys. There are those of you that are in business, there's two people that I'll hire sight unseen. Number one, anybody that's worked on a family farm. If you worked on a family farm, chances are you know how to work. I'll hire you sight unseen. Second, a DACA recipient. Because a person who is a DACA recipient is dying to be here. They go through the trouble of doing it every 2 years. And so I said to in talking to the union, so you've got business owners, you've got union folks, you've got educators, all behind this common sense bill. And why it's not completed yet is beyond my understanding. But that's where we are. And then the last piece was just because I was irritated. I thought to myself, wait a minute, we're charging these kids $500 every 2 years to go through this testing and reporting. And I want to tell you, I had a DACA recipient that interned in my office is now an assistant up in Representative Kitchen's office. And I said, hey, Marco, tell me exactly what you have to go through every 2 years. And he gave it to me. I want to tell you, you guys, it is disgusting. It is a terrible, awful program. I mean, they have to ask questions and do things that I cannot even legally ask in a job interview. And these kids go through it gladly every 2 years for the privilege of being here, because that's the way they see it. They see it the way my grandparents saw this country, as a wonderful opportunity. And we're not giving them anything. We're just getting the heck out of their way. So that's a synopsis of the 4 bills that we put together and how we got to do it. And so I couldn't be happier to have friends like my friend Representative Schneider and certainly Representative Ortiz to help us with this. And then Tony and his team have been helping us on the other side. And so now we just got to get our friends on the Senate to move along. And I know, and we did, I think, Sylvia, you were with me during that Christmas party at the governor's house. And he said, just get them to me, I'll sign them.